When a catastrophic accident occurs, the physical destruction is immediate, but the legal reckoning that follows requires answering an impossible question. How do you assign an exact monetary value to human suffering and death? Consider this strict set of facts. Lucy is a 30-year-old single mother of 2 young children. She earns £25,000 a year as a financial assistant. While walking across a pelican crossing, she is struck by a negligent driver named Chris. The medical timeline is precise. Lucy suffers intense, conscious pain for exactly 1 week. She then slips into a coma for 12 weeks before succumbing to her injuries, leaving her 2 children orphaned. The cornerstone of tort remedies is the principle of restitutio in integrum, the legal imperative to restore a claimant to their pre-accident position. Because the court cannot reverse time or heal injuries, it is forced to use the only tool at its disposal: financial compensation. Calculating Chris's liability requires mastering a strict taxonomy of personal injury damages. It demands navigating the sudden bifurcation of claims that triggers the exact moment a claimant dies. Solving a tort remedies problem is an exercise in rigid categorization. You must determine exactly when a specific loss occurred, establish who is legally recognized to suffer it, and apply the correct statute to govern the payout. This chart details the framework for assessing personal injury damages, dividing harm into pecuniary losses, capable of strict calculation, and non-pecuniary losses. Non-pecuniary losses are subdivided into pain and suffering for actual anguish and loss of amenity for the loss of the enjoyment of life. To calculate pain and suffering, the court applies the rule established in Wise v. K. The test is entirely subjective. A claimant must possess the cognitive awareness to actually perceive their pain to be compensated. Applying this to our facts, Lucy was only conscious for the first week after the accident. Because she lacked awareness during her 12-week coma, her estate can only recover pain and suffering damages for that single initial week. Loss of amenity operates differently. Under the precedent of West v. Shepard, the test for this head of damage is objective. The deprivation of a normal life occurs whether the claimant is aware of it or not, representing a profound objective loss. Lucy's estate recovers loss of amenity damages for the 13-week period before her death. Shifting to pecuniary losses, the law distinguishes between special damages, exact financial losses proven with receipts, and general damages, covering estimated future losses. A severely injured claimant will often require extensive nursing care. Under Schneider v. Izovich, a claimant can recover the commercial value of that care, even if provided for free by a devoted family member. Warning tone: you must be precise with the cause of action here. The third-party carer has no legal right to sue the defendant. The defendant owed a duty of care to the victim, not the victim's family. It is the injured claimant who sues to recover compensation for their need for care. Pre-death damages require a ruthless legal separation, untangling objective biological states from subjective cognitive awareness, and isolating hard receipt-backed expenses from abstract human suffering. When an injury permanently impairs a claimant's ability to work, the court faces a logistical hurdle. It must quantify a lifetime of lost future earnings at a single trial date, awarding one final lump sum. The court uses a strict actuarial formula, multiplying the net annual loss, the multiplicand, by the period of future loss, the multiplier. For the multiplicand, the court takes Lucy's £25,000 gross earnings, deducts tax and insurance, and adds employment perks to find her net annual loss. The multiplier represents the years the claimant would have continued to work. Awarding 25 years of salary up front allows the claimant to earn compound interest. To neutralize this windfall, courts apply the Ogden tables. A discount rate of 0.50% is applied to assumed returns, artificially shrinking the multiplier to balance the equation. Conventional deduction to the multiplicand during the lost years, typically 25% for a claimant with dependent children and 33% for those without. This multiplier engine is a highly engineered legal fiction designed to protect the claimant against future inflation while strictly preventing the windfall of advance investment. The legal architecture changes the instant the claimant dies. Lucy's singular tort claim instantly fractures into 2 distinct parallel statutory pathways. This flowchart maps the Law Reform Act 1934, which allows the deceased's existing cause of action to survive for their estate. Crucially, all calculations for loss of income, pain and suffering, and loss of amenity are strictly capped at the exact date of death. the 1976 Act creates a separate parasitic claim for financial dependents, requiring the deceased to have a valid cause of action. It calculates loss by multiplying Lucy's net salary and childcare value by the dependency duration, strictly capped at age 18. Warning tone. This parasitic structure contains a fatal trap. If Lucy had accepted a settlement payout in the hospital, her legal claim would be extinguished. Upon her death, her children would have no foundation to bring a 1976 Act claim, leaving them with nothing further. The 1976 Act also allows for bereavement damages. Unlike other heads of loss, this requires no calculation. It is a strictly fixed statutory sum, currently set at £15,120, divided equally among eligible claimants. Eligibility is ruthless. Only spouses, civil partners, and parents of unmarried minors are on the statutory list. Lucy's children legally cannot claim bereavement damages. Their emotional loss yields a legal value of exactly 0. Death does not extinguish a tortfeasor's liability, but it forces the law to look in two directions at once. One statute looks backward, measuring the victim's suffering to their final breath. The other looks forward, measuring the financial ruin of the survivors. We can now resolve Chris's total financial liability by mapping the facts to the dual statutory ledger. Under the 1934 Act, Lucy's estate recovers damages for her 1 week of conscious pain, her 13 weeks of loss of amenity, her 13 weeks of lost pre-death earnings, and the exact cost of her funeral. Under the 1976 Act, Lucy's children recover their projected loss of dependency up to age 18. Their claim for statutory bereavement damages is denied. Because Lucy left her entire estate to her children in her will, the payouts practically intersect. The children inherit the 1934 Act damages directly. The law explicitly disregards this inheritance when calculating their 1976 Act dependency claim, allowing the funds to merge without legally double-counting the defendant's liability. Tort damages are an imperfect, highly mechanized substitute for human life. Success in applying them relies on correctly mapping the raw facts of a tragedy to the rigid architecture of the multiplier, the deduction tables, and the dual statutes of death.